The amount of money that I was making at that age was fucking insane. Prior to this, I'm working 40 hours a week, making 500 to $1,000 at my dad's restaurant. When I made that 20K commission in my first month, I thought it was fake. He throws me up against the gate, put your hands up, take your backpack off. He's like, where is it, where is it? Jason had come across one of the videos and followed Eddie. So he's like, yo, Jason Derulo just followed me. And we're all like, oh, what the fuck? By the end of it, he goes, you know, it's not too late for you to come to Dubai.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Link Live. We have episode 10 ready to go for you guys today. We're welcomed with another special guest, and this one's been a long time coming. We're welcoming Kal Maadi to the podcast, otherwise known as CEO Kal. And this story, honestly, you'll see in the episode, I was totally engaged the entire time and kind of listening to the journey that Kal's been on over the past few years, from being an extremely young CEO out of college to one of the youngest COOs in the healthcare space at the age of 21, all the way up to now running business affairs and managing deals for Jason Derulo. And then to top it off, he's starting his own tech company now. It's pretty remarkable stuff. And we're going to get into his new company, Creator Exchange, and kind of how they're revolutionizing the software space. But you're going to get a lot of value from Kal on his guiding principles, how important relationships are to him, how he values and not only values, but leverages those relationships, and how he manifested the situation and the environment that he's in today. So if you're interested in anything from the social landscape of entrepreneurship to networking and how to carry yourself around higher valued people, this episode is going to be an amazing one for you to listen to. I'm excited for the value that's going to come out of this. And without further ado, Kal Maadi, let's hop into Link Live episode 10. What's up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Link Live. Episode 10 today. We're in the double-digit crew here, and we have a good one ready to go for today. We're welcomed by Kal Maadi, otherwise known as CEO Kal. So we're excited to get you in the studio. I know this has been a long time coming, but we're excited to have you here.
Definitely a long time coming. Super excited to be here, Lorenzo. Glad to be the 10th episode. There's actually a statistic that I found when I was launching my podcast last year. Only 1% of all podcasts started have hit, I think it was 21 episodes.
Wow.
So you're 11 episodes away from being in the top 1%. And I definitely enjoy your podcast, so keep it coming.
Thank you, bro. Well, we're going to have to do a special 21st episode, so I got to remember that. But like all of our stories here and kind of what we're trying to do to inspire and impact the younger generation, motivate people to break free from, whether it's their corporate job and maybe relationships that they're, not in favor with anymore. We want to definitely touch on a lot of the guiding principles that have gotten you to the place you're at. And I think for me, that all starts with your upbringing. So I want to kind of dive deep into younger Kal and where you were raised, how you were raised, your ethnic background, things of that nature that kind of brought you to this point now.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get into my upbringing, and I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more specifically about, just as you mentioned, the guiding principles, the values that have allowed me to get to this point. But before getting into my upbringing, I just want to touch on the topic you mentioned, because it's a part of, number one, my mission, which is to change the younger generation's paradigm on what they think they have to do in order to be successful. And then number two, you're absolutely right when you say that today's younger generation deals with comparison and constantly chasing what they're seeing on social media indefinitely. People always like to say comparison is the thief of joy. I personally like to say don't compete where you can't compare. And if you're out there and if you're young and if you only watch the first 5 minutes of this podcast episode, the one thing that I want you to walk away with is that everyone has their own story and everyone writes their own story. I'm 25 years old, and every time I tell my story, people say, wow, you've accomplished so much, or how can you do X amount by the age of 25? It would take me 10 minutes to find 150 18-year-olds rounding me 10 times twice.
Yeah.
But if I focused on that for the last 5 years, I would have gotten nowhere. So I'm happy to be here, happy to be sitting with someone who shares the same values and principles and wants to teach the same message. In terms of my upbringing, I was actually originally born in New Mexico. which is surprising to a lot of people because it's kind of like a hidden state in a sense.
Yeah.
Moved over to Chicago when I was 4 years old. My mother was diagnosed with cancer at a very young age, so we had to come to Chicago so she could have better health care at Christ Hospital. And basically was born and raised in Chicago ever since.
Amazing. Were you directly in the city, kind of on the outskirts?
So when we first moved here, we didn't have a place to stay. It was me, my father, my younger brother, and my mother, obviously, who was admitted into the hospital. My older sister and my older brother actually had to stay back in New Mexico just because we didn't have a place to stay. Initially, we stayed at my aunt's house in the south side suburbs, so
Okay.
the Palos Hills area.
Got it.
And this phase of my life is a little bit foggy in terms of the timeline, but I know eventually, probably within the course of a year, my sister and my older brother came out here. They were super young as well, by the way, kids. But finally, we were all together in a small apartment. Always, the 4 or 5 different places we lived was always in the south side suburbs: Palos
Got it.
Hills, Hickory Hills, Orland Park, that area.
Nice. How did some of those early experiences, if you could remember, kind of shape your upbringing a little bit? You know, how was school growing up for you? Were you more academic, more athletic? What do you remember from some of those experiences?
I would say first and foremost, growing up without a mother was tough. But the interesting part about that, Lorenzo, is that I actually didn't feel it until I was much older. Like I was so young when my mother passed away. I was 8 years old. My younger brother was 6. And it sounds crazy to say, but it's not like I was like broken when she passed away. Because she was sick since I was pretty much born, and we were kind of used to that life growing up without a mother. By the time I was around like 20 to 22 years old is when I really started to actually feel the effects of growing up without a mother, without that unconditional love that can really shape a man for who he is. When I think back to my upbringing, the things that I highlight are, number one, my father, he was a single father, doing his absolute best to raise 4 kids. But that also comes along with working full time.
Yeah.
And he was very old school. So with that being said, we had to do a lot to raise ourselves. And that created a very interesting dynamic between my siblings and I, because we were always vouching for each other. Now, growing up, we fought like normal siblings did, but what it ended up becoming was a bond that I see rarely in other sibling relationships, because we were all responsible for getting each other to where we needed to be, right? And that started with my older brother. He's 4 years older than me. His name is Sharif, Chicago's lawyer. He owns his own law firm in Orland Park, and it's called Maadi Law, but he kind of had to serve as a father figure for my younger brother and I. So again, it just came a lot with like having to learn how to grow up quicker than maybe we needed to.
Sure.
Learning how to take care of each other and raise ourselves and support our father in every way that we could. There was one piece of my personality that I wasn't able to shake until I was a lot older that I feel like stemmed from my upbringing, which was the concept of wanting everybody to like me, or wanting to please everybody. And I think the absence of unconditional love throughout my initial upbringing made me an individual that was constantly seeking attention. You asked about like my grades and my athletics. Sports was never a thing that my father allowed us to focus on. He was school, school, school. He came to America when he was 18 years old, had struggled and was able to build a career for himself, without having a degree or anything of that nature. So for him, in his world and his upbringing, it was like you go to school, you become a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse,
Right.
and that's how you become successful. That's the only way you can guarantee your success. So he drilled that into us.
Where's your dad from originally?
Palestine.
Okay.
So he drilled that into us growing up, and we never really were able to, like, I wasn't able to play sports until I was in high school. Just because that's when like the bus could take you to and from practice and you didn't need a parent to give you a ride, etc. But I was super smart growing up. Straight A's, 4.8 GPA out of high school, 4.0 out of college. And even though I was so smart, every class that I was in, from middle school to high school, honors classes, AP classes, but my teachers always fucking hated me until the first test because I was the class clown.
Yeah.
And I expressed myself in a way that wasn't truly authentic to who I was so that I could try to get people to like me or so that I can get their attention. And obviously the teachers didn't like me because I was a jackass. Right around that first test or that first project was when it was almost as if they like saw whatever I turned in and were like, how the fuck is this the same kid? And they started to understand it a little bit more in that sense. And I was able to grow some really good relationships with some of my teachers that, you know, cared enough to dig into why I was the way I was.
Right.
Not to ramble on any longer, but those are some of the things that I'd highlight from my upbringing for sure.
For sure. No, I appreciate you sharing that. So, you know, to me, I think the relationship, it's evident that you probably had to share with your siblings at a young age is kind of what drove you. Some of those early, you know, trials and tribulations, I wanted to ask, do you feel that as motivating drive now that you're older and you kind of understand that a bit more?
Absolutely.
At what age did that start to become something that was more apparent for you?
It was right around the age when I was going into college. So I graduated high school a year early.
Cool.
Funny story, I was actually expelled from high school, but figured out a way to graduate a year early.
You got to tell us how you got expelled.
So I'm in high school. I'm a junior in a junior in high school at the time. And after school, came home, and I decided to go watch the girls' soccer game because I love high school soccer. No, I'm joking. The girl I had a crush on was playing at the game. So I pull up to the game, watch the game with my friends. Everything is all good, normal. I swear to you, this is not like everything that I say is exactly how it happened. Game was over. We all start walking out of the soccer field, like towards the school into the parking lot, etc. So everyone who's in the bleachers starts walking out of the parking lot. As soon as I get past the gate, this guy that's dressed in completely normal clothes, undercover officer, comes up to me. He's like, "Put your hands up." I'm like, what the fuck? I kept walking. I didn't know who he was talking to. He's like, "Put your hands up." And he grabs me. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? What did I do? He's like, "Where is it?" I'm like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, this teacher, her name is Miss Mason. She knew me for all 4 years. And she was like, deal with it privately. I promise you he doesn't have it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Long story short, he throws me up against the gate, "Put your hands up, take your backpack off." Starts looking through all my shit. He's like, "Where is it? Where is it?" I'm like tweaking balls at this point. What the fuck are you talking about? Where is what? I'm Arab, so he thought I had a button. No, I'm joking. On a real note, he thought I had a gun. Like, apparently there was a report that someone saw me walking into the school with a firearm, like a real gun.
Wow.
And they searched my bag and everything. I don't have a fucking gun, obviously. So they take me into the school. 3 police officers walk into the classroom. The guy that, like, detained me, the dean, and maybe one other person. And they just start going through my bag, asking me all types of crazy questions. I'm like, check the cameras. Like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, honestly. When they checked my bag, they pulled out 3 things that made them decide to, like, arrest me that day, take me to jail. One was an 800 milligram ibuprofen pill that was loose in my bag. So I'll never forget, he pulled it out and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "Tylenol." You know what I'm talking about, right? The prescribed 800 milligrams.
Yeah, it's in a capsule.
There was one of those, and then there was also a vape and a pocket knife that my older brother had given me. He's in the U.S. Army. So I used to just, like, carry it with me all the time. It was on my keys. And whatever, they kind of had to take me to the police station. At that point, my dad picked me up. We go to school the next day, and it was kind of like this zero tolerance policy for having a weapon on the school grounds, even though it wasn't a gun. And because of this whole situation, I think they had to make an example out of it. And I walk into a meeting with my father, and they're like, you're expelled. You're going to have to go to a detention school for the rest of your junior year, and you can potentially come back for your senior year. This detention school was like, you go wearing a clear backpack, walking through the security detectors. Bro, what the fuck? I'm sitting there shook, bro. Like, I literally think my life is over. So obviously it didn't phase out well. You know, regardless of the situation, I was arrested. My dad had to pick me up, and they're telling him I might be expelled. When we go to the school, they said that All of a sudden, my counselor, I'll never forget this. She comes running into the room. She's like, wait. It's like a fucking movie. She has this big, like, square box. And she's like, I figured it out. He can graduate early. And the dean or whoever at the point, they're like, Miss Costa, you got to get out of here. Like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, he has the credits. He can graduate early. You know this kid. Why the fuck would you send him to a detention school? You know what I mean? So because I was in 0 hour and because I took AP classes, I was able to, instead of going to the detention school and coming back my senior year, take like an online class that took me 4 weeks. And then I graduated. I got my high school diploma, was in my freshman year of college the next year.
Wow.
So yeah, that happened.
That's crazy.
But how did I mention that I was expelled from high school? What did you ask?
When you had the motivating sort of drive from some of your earlier trials and tribulations in life, when you had an understanding of like how this was going to motivate you in the future as you came older.
Yeah, it was right around the time that I was getting into college. I feel like that's when I really started to mature a lot more and understand my actual values in life. That's when I fully wrapped my head around my purpose in life and what I actually wanted to create for myself and my family. Growing up, was always told, like, oh, you're going to be successful, mainly because of the way that I articulated myself in certain conversations and then my grades, etc. But it wasn't until I was older where I like really started to understand the meaning behind life, how to actually accomplish what you were trying to accomplish. Prior to me understanding that, I never did things for the right reason. Even the things that I was accomplishing, like becoming the CEO, wasn't because I wanted to accomplish a goal relevant to myself. It was because I wanted to say that I was a CEO. I wanted everyone to know that I was a CEO. Goes back to that, like, people pleasing, attention craving thing, right? So, yeah, that was one of the things that I wasn't able to learn until a little bit later in my career. When I learned that, everything changed. And it took me my first year as a CEO. That relationship with the founder of the company didn't end up phasing out the way that I had hoped for it to. Hit rock bottom for a little bit between working my second role as a C-suite executive, and then it was pretty much up from there.
Yeah. Let's rewind back a little bit. So you got into your freshman year of college. Where'd you go to school again?
UIC.
UIC, graduated from there with a degree in?
So I went to Moraine Valley for my first 2 years, and then I transferred to UIC.
Nice.
Luckily, so when I transferred to UIC my junior year, it was in 2019 that I got a job as a sales rep on accident. The role was actually high-ticket closing in the online space, which is a very popularly coined term now. Back then, it wasn't.
Right.
This was a company that operated fully remotely, which wasn't a thing back then. This is before COVID. Working remotely, no one understood what that meant. Zoom wasn't a thing. We only took sales calls over the phone. We recorded our calls with an app called Tape a Call. You know what I mean? So I got a job as a sales rep there in 2019 while I was in college. It was just supposed to be a side gig, especially because it was remote. Long story short, I ended up making $20,000 in my first month, commissions, working that role. And that was when everything changed.
What were you selling?
It was a high-ticket coaching program where we taught elite-level athletes how to build confidence. So it was a mental strength training offer for high-level athletes. Think of your Division I college basketball player who is the best on the team, but if he misses his first few shots, he can't get out of his head, and it ruins the rest of his game.
Got it.
If you played sports, I'm sure you've dealt with something like that. You know,
a little bit.
And it worked. The product was phenomenal. The coaching, it felt like I was creating a real impact in the world. You know, the parents of these athletes would thank God for us and send us beautiful messages of that nature about how we changed their lives. It wasn't really the most common situation, but there was even a kid that we didn't know until after, but his parents disclosed to us that, like, shortly before working with us, the kid was suicidal. He was only 13 years old.
Wow.
And we were able to pull him out of it. So
it's unreal.
Felt like I was creating a really big impact with that company. Got hired as a sales rep in 2019. Became the head of sales like 3 months later. Probably within the year, I became the head of sales and marketing. When I graduated from UIC, which, by the way, COVID saved me. If COVID never happened, I probably would have never finished college. But it was too easy to do it, and I didn't have to tell my dad that I didn't want to that way.
Right.
So graduated from college, and then when I graduated, I was offered a position as the CFO. 8 months later, became the CEO, and then resigned approximately like 7 months into being the CEO.
Got it. What went south with that company? How did that relationship dissolve a little bit?
There's actually a lesson that I want to highlight when it comes to this company, because a lot of people tend to ask me, like, how did you do that? You got hired as a sales rep, then you became the head of sales, then you became the head of sales and marketing, then the CFO, then the CEO, and you were so young. Like, why you?
Yeah.
I always acted like I was what I became before I was that. When I got hired as a sales rep, I acted like the head of sales. I talked to all the other reps, be like, yo, can I review a call? I want to see how it compares to my calls. Give them feedback, this, that, and the other. Yo, guys, I actually rewrote our entire script, and it's working 10% better for me. You should try it, right? So I was the head of sales before I was appointed as that. Then I wanted to generate more leads, so we had more sales calls, and I started to learn about marketing, and I optimized our ads, and then became the head of sales and marketing, you know? Figured out how we can cut costs and hire people at like through a more cost-effective option, which appointed me as a CFO. At that point, I was running the whole thing, so CEO was the next step. The only reason I'm highlighting that is because people ask me that question all the time, and it's not some crazy strategy or a weird level of intelligence that I have. It's just by doing the thing before you're told to do it or asked to do it.
Right.
And then it's inevitable at that point, you know? Now, what ended up happening with that company is throughout all of these promotions, I was very young, right? And the amount of money that I was making at that age back then, before this whole online space was as big as it was fucking insane. Like when I made that 20K commission in my first month, I didn't even think that money was going to actually hit my bank account. I thought it was fake. Prior to this, I'm working 40 hours a week, making $500 to $1,000 at my dad's restaurant. You know what I mean? $20,000 was crazy. Also, I'm Googling like doctor's salary. I'm like, that's what they make. What the fuck?
Right.
What am I doing? I could do this from my bed on a phone.
So was that the original plan? Potentially go to like med school, something like that?
Yeah, I forgot to answer your question. I graduated with a degree in biology, and the whole time I was gonna become a doctor until all of this started to play out. Right. So I had a good relationship with the founder, and you know, him putting me in this position, it was my first step in the online space. There wasn't a lot going on in this space either. Nowadays, you scroll through Instagram, you can't last 30 seconds without someone telling you how you can make 10K a month. None of that existed at this time, right? So number one, I felt like I had this opportunity that I didn't want to go away. And number two, I looked to him as a mentor that, like, if I just put in the work, if I treat this company like it's my own, if I act like I'm an owner, he'll take care of me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he used to always kind of sell me that vision and things of that nature as well. And I was making a decent amount of money. 20K my first month. I made so much money, he adjusted my commission percentage and was like, this just doesn't make sense. But I was doing on average 8 to 12K for like the first year and a half to 2 years. As I kept getting promoted, he's obviously giving me more and more responsibility, more and more work to do.
Sure.
So he would be like, I want to make you the head of sales and marketing. And I'd be like, okay, fucking awesome, man. Thank you. Call my dad. Dad, I just became the head of sales and marketing. Tell my friends this, that, and the other. But what I didn't do was, okay, awesome. Can we renegotiate my compensation? You know what I mean? I was being exploited, but without really noticing it, because I felt like if I just keep my head down, and I was gratified enough by like the people knowing I had these titles, you know?
You were
Instead
so
of
young.
focusing on like what actually mattered. Because if I could make more with more responsibility, like with more responsibility, you should make more. So if I could do that, fuck the title.
Sure.
You don't even need it at that point. But it was enough to distract me from like asking for anything more. Anyways, my compensation stayed the same from when I was a sales rep all the way to when I was a CFO. Nothing changed. Finally, when it came time for me to become the CEO, the founder of the company was basically like, I want to switch you to a profit share percentage. Originally, I was making a percentage of sales commission. He's like, with profit share, you get a percentage of the total profit of the company. And this makes you a true owner. because you get a percentage of the profit the same way that I do. On top of that, you're going to be the CEO. Did a little quick math, 20% or 18%, blah, blah, blah. Oh, cool, I'm making like 10K more with this. And I'm the CEO, I'm game. It was July of 2022. And he goes, you're going to become the CEO effective immediately. Your new compensation structure won't take effect until October of this year. Cool. I'm already acting like the CEO anyways. Nothing changed.
How many people were within the company at this
6.
point? Okay.
6. All managed beneath me. The owner really was mainly responsible just for the coaching. I pretty much did everything else along with the rest of the team.
Got it.
October rolls around and whatever, we go through the month, did decent that month. My check comes back, it's like $2,000. I'm like, what the fuck is this? $2,000. So I hit him like, yo, my check was only $2,000. Like, how did this happen? He's like, well, bro, because you're on profit share now, you have to understand that, first of all, it changes. Like, there's a month where you might make a lot lower because we had a lot of expenses that we paid for this month, but, you know, it inflates the profit in the next month. Also, because it's Q4, we write off a lot on our taxes. And then the biggest thing was that we were hosting an event in January of that year that we paid a lot of money to host. The renting the facility, flying the team out, all of those things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's cutting into the actual profit of the company, obviously, which is normal for a business. But the problem was that I shouldn't have been put on a net profit share structure. Who the fuck does that? It should have been a rev share percentage.
Right. I was going to say, do you remember the top line monthly rev number at that time?
We were averaging around like 140, which would have put me in a good position, making 18 to 20% off of that top line revenue.
For sure.
That's what it was supposed to be, and also what I thought it was, but like I didn't clarify the terminology. And plus, I was a young dumbass, bro. I just loved doing the work. I was really fucking good at it. I was generating great results, and I got to tell everyone I was a CEO. And I was making good money for my age at that time. I was sucked into it all in this little bubble. The worst part about it is that over the 3 years that I was working with him in this bubble, I didn't notice how big this industry was becoming outside of the bubble. How much like everyone started to realize and understand the online info product space, the online service space industry, etc. But anyways, October I made 2K. November I made like fucking $1,000. December I made $500. And at this point, I'm tweaking balls because I was making decent money, 8 to 12K, but I also had a lot of expenses. You know, like
you were like 21 at this point?
I'm 21 at this point, 22 actually at this point by now. You know, I give my little brother an allowance while he's in college so that he doesn't have to work a job, pay for his food, help with the tuition and everything else, my siblings' birthdays and this, that, and the other, my rent, because I lived on my own. So like I started to run out of money. You know, I'm basically like just living off of my savings at this point. And in my conversations with him, it's all about that, like we write off as much as possible at the end of the year. You know, when January rolls around, things are going to get better, this, that, and the other. We did the event in January. Because of the event, we made like 60K. And nothing was changing, bro. He was like, there was a month where he took like a distribution of $65,000, which cut against the profit. So I'm like, fuck this. Like I realized, woke up, I had nothing else planned, which was the scariest part. You know, a year before this, I told my dad I didn't want to go to graduate school because I was going to become the owner of this company. He was waiting for the day to tell me that like I was wrong and I was a dumbass kid that he thought I was when I decided not to become a doctor.
Right.
So now I'm in this position where like I'm running out of money. I'm running out of money now that I've become the CEO. So everyone thinks that I've reached this great level of now I'm a 21-year-old CEO, except I'm making less money than I ever have before. I'm running out of money. I'm in a terrible position and I can't tell anyone about it because I didn't want anyone to see me differently than how they saw me. When I walked into a room, it was CEO Kal. What's up, baby?
Yeah.
You know? When I go to a restaurant, I had a positioning, even to my family, young, successful, this, that, the other, on top of the game. So I had to hide it and deal with it all on my own. I got down to a point when I resigned, I just sent him a resignation letter. Motherfucker cried on Zoom for an entire week, like telling me he's so sorry, this, that, and the other. He doesn't know how he didn't notice all this. At the end of it, he offered me 51% equity in the company, but I decided I just didn't want to stay in bed with him anymore, and I moved on. I didn't have anything planned. I had no other option, no other plan, no idea what I was going to do, whether it was go back to grad school, get a job, start a company. I was lost. But I did believe in myself. You know, I told myself, regardless of what I was being paid and whether or not I was exploited, I took this company from $240,000 a year to $1.4 million in profit. So if I'm capable of doing that, what else can I be capable of? There was only two things that I could rely on in that moment. Number one was my own self-belief, and number two was my faith in God. And as soon as I stopped worrying about what everyone else would think, as soon as I started to actually focus on the problem, acknowledge it, accept it, and do something bigger for myself, things started happening. I think within about a week, I got a job as a high-ticket closer. That was like, did the interview like, what the fuck? I don't even know why you're trying to become a closer. Got that role, did 8K in my first month, and within that month, I got offered an interview for the role as a chief operating officer for an anesthesia company called Windy City Anesthesia. They covered the entire Midwest region. We're doing around $30 million a year. Interviewed against 4 guys, all in their 40s, who have been C-suites at other healthcare companies. Long story short, I did well in that interview process and ended up being offered the role. That started in right around, like, I would say April or May of 2023. Worked there for about 8 to 11 months, did really well. I was able to grow their net profit by $350,000 by outsourcing their billing department and like actually firing their entire billing department, outsourcing it, which was a much more cost-effective option, and they also billed a lot better.
Wow.
So in this moment, I was rounding the corner to working as a chief operating officer for this company for a year. The problem when I was working there is that, once again, like, I was the youngest COO in healthcare. This time I had a great salary, right? 6-figure salary, benefits, this, that, and the other. But I would drive home every single day feeling like I was capable of more. I'd come into the house, talk to my roommates about a business I want to start, this, that, and the other. Like, I could do more. I'm capable of more. I should be bigger, better. And the biggest thing was that both with the first company and with this company, I kept making the founders rich. Except I was stuck at a ceiling, which was my salary. And I promise you they got a return on that investment, right? So I started to think to myself, like, what can I start as a company that will allow me to do what I've done for these 2 organizations successfully for myself, like through my own empire? Instead of getting a job as a CEO or a COO, why don't I start a consulting firm where I can just take a rev share percentage? That way I have skin in the game the same way as the founder does. Help them scale the same way that I helped Windy City Anesthesia scale as a COO and MSM scale as a CEO. Except I could do it for multiple companies, all under a rev share percentage. And that's what birthed my consulting firm in 2024, which rounds us out to this year in 2025. I started a tech company in February, but
yeah,
I'm sure we'll
talk
get
into
about
that.
a lot of the in-between
Well,
stuff.
what were some of those early stage things you needed to start the consulting firm, right? Consulting's very popular, but there's also a very wide range when people talk about consulting. There's like the one-person shows, and then there's obviously, the massive conglomerates of the world. But what are some of those early things that you needed to kind of get off the ground and get running, and then maybe talk us through how you went about acquiring your first few clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of getting it up and running, I think that the mistake I made when I first tried to launch the consulting firm was doing that while working my job. And I ended up like bringing on a client throughout that process, but the whole thing was shit. Like, the launch was shit. I oversighted like some of the things relevant to his audience that would have never made me sign him as a client anyways. And it was half-assed, but it also made what I was doing in my job half-assed. So the first thing I would say is going all in, right? And trusting myself and the fact that I'm capable of doing it, I could do it again. The second thing was identifying my actual skill set. What do I have? Not only what do I think I'm good at, but what do I have a track record for? What does my resume say that I'm good at? How much money have I generated in sales? How much money have I trained to get generated in sales? How many advertising dollars have I managed successfully with getting a return on it? What are the team sizes that I've managed and things of that nature? Once I got an understanding that my skill set was pretty much spread across digital marketing, sales, and operations and leadership, I knew that I was capable of helping someone either scale or start an online business as long as they were the right fit. And you got to just swallow your ego in the beginning stages. I was sending out like 100 DMs a day as the youngest COO in healthcare. I just say that as a joke because I feel like a lot of people pride themselves from doing the dirty work in the beginning stages of wanting to start a company. And had I not done that dirty work, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Of course.
I was sending 100 DMs a day, and then 2 months later, I was on a flight to Dubai with Jason Derulo. He was not one of the DMs that I sent. But at the end of the day, there's an echo effect. Had I not done that action, the result of being with Jason would have never happened either. You know what I mean?
Who were you targeting? Anybody in particular when you were sending these DMs?
Yeah, I was looking for people who had large audiences on social media, but specifically in the educational niche. Now, when I say educational, I just mean that they're creating content to teach someone something, to provide value. The other type of creator is entertainment, which is not the type of creator that we wanted to work with. Funny enough, Jason was an entertainment creator, and that's why the offer with him never worked. So it had to be a creator that was teaching something valuable and a creator that wasn't monetizing effectively. So they have an audience on social media. People love their content. They're providing value every day, but they don't make money from it. A good example of this is one of my clients to this day are the Credit Brothers. And they teach people how to build their credit scores, repair their credit, improve their credit, access personal or business funding, et cetera, et cetera. They've been creating content about this for years, have over 1 million followers across all platforms. And they had a credit repair service, but there wasn't necessarily anything in place that could catch the people who wanted like a source of information for how they can build their credit on their own.
Sure.
We launched a product called the Credit Club, which is a online subscription-based program where someone can learn how to reach an 800 credit score, leverage their credit card points for travel hacking, obtain personal funding, repair their credit score, etc.
So that's your model then, right? You would take a rev share percentage of that product that you're building them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I only win if they win. You know what I mean? So it was an easy sell in terms of getting them to want to do it as long as the percentages made sense. And
who was building these products? Were you like sourcing like developers or like advertisers? Like how were you going about that?
No, everything was built out by us.
Cool.
So none of this really required any custom coding or anything of that nature. We were building, there's a lot of platforms nowadays like School, WAP, Circle, Kajabi, where you can host an online product, community, classroom function, live calls, etc. So we basically built out our product on those platforms. And then you could charge people through those platforms as well.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. When it came to acquiring clients, one of the things that I did that I think helped a lot was when I was assessing a creator and I was like, this is a great fit. If I were to launch this business with this creator, it would do really well. I like kind of built out the product already.
Right.
At least like a demo of it. And was like, why are you not selling this? Or like you're losing 15K a month, 30K a month. It was always a calculation based off of being able to convert 1% of their audience.
Got it.
So yeah, that's kind of how we got started.
Did they have to have a minimum amount of followers for you to get interested in them?
Yeah, to an extent. Engagement mattered a lot. I learned the hard way that the number of followers doesn't actually matter as much as how engaged the individuals are.
Right.
And who the followers are made up of. I'll tell you a story, and this was before I went all in. My first ever client was a fitness influencer. bodybuilder, 185,000 followers on Instagram, 15K followers on TikTok. He sold a high ticket coaching program and he was already doing like 20 to 25K a month. What I approached him with was launching a low ticket program, monthly membership, $15 a month or something of that nature, where instead of it being one on one, they have access to like the different modules, the meal plan templates, and the live calls, and also the community function where they can engage with each other. And the idea was that this will also create more high ticket customers from him as well.
Right.
For him. And my rev share was only on the low ticket. Whatever. We build out this whole product. We do market research. We prepare for the launch, email marketing, social media content, etc. Fucking like 5 people joined that shit for $15. We didn't know what was going on. I remember on the launch day, we prepared, me and my partner got our laptops out. So when we hit go, it's floodgates. We hit go and nothing happened. We were like, what the fuck is this? It took us a while to figure it out, but after doing some market research on his audience,
Yeah.
remember how I told you if it's an entertainment-based audience, you can't really sell them anything?
Right.
What we found that he's a bodybuilder, right? Most of his audience was made up of males who were attracted to him rather than males. His audience was made up of a bunch of gay guys.
Wow.
And they were following him because they liked the way he looked, not because they wanted to learn his nutrition meal plans or workout schedules and regimens, etc. So that taught us something. Don't launch a product before doing market research, and don't make any assumptions just based off of the number for someone's followers.
Sure.
There are people with 50,000 followers that make 10 times what someone with 550,000 followers makes.
I believe it. Yeah.
It matters who those people are more than just the number.
For sure. So when these products then are up and running now, you guys are at how many clients actively?
So here's the thing with the consulting firm that a lot of people get wrong as well. We are not in the business of acquiring as many clients as possible.
Sure.
It's actually the opposite of what we do, because every client that we bring on is literally as if we're starting an entirely new business.
Right. That's what I was going to mention. Yep.
And if I can scale these different offers over time, that's how we make more money. Because if an offer is at 25K and I get it to 100K, obviously our rev share percentage is a lot higher.
Sure.
So we're in the business of acquiring great clients and helping them grow and scale. And when I tell you that if I have a client, they literally they'll probably even accidentally tell you that I just work at their company, because that's how it feels. You know what I mean? At the moment, we have 3 clients that cover our entire focus. And with Creator Exchange being in place now and us trying to build that, obviously there's like a transition, for lack of better terms. But we have 3 clients. That includes Jason, where I handle a lot of his business affairs, Jason Derulo, a wholesale real estate, a client that does real estate, and then a client that does credit.
Love it. Let's hop into the Jason Derulo story now, because that's very interesting, and I'm sure that perks a lot of ears. So talk us through that relationship, how that came about. I mean, just in general, right? I'm a big relationships guy, and sort of the basis of what I've built so far is off of relationships. Touch on a little bit for you personally how vital particular relationships have been, and then kind of take us through how the start of that relationship with Jason took off.
Every single thing that I've done successfully in my life is attached to a relationship that I cultivated. And more often than not, it's a relationship that I invested in before knowing what I could get out of it. Right? Your network is your net worth is a very popular saying, but only if you choose the right network. Right. Is what most people lose sight of. You see, even when I talk about how I got the job at Windy City Anesthesia as the youngest COO in healthcare, I mean, bro, I was in charge of 90, 30 of them were doctors. What I was trying to become, I was now in charge of them at 24 years old. How did I get that job? At MSM, the company I was the CEO of prior, there was a guy that worked with us, contracted with us. His name was Leo Goldman. And he was I want to make sure I get his title right, because he's not like a physical trainer. He's like a physical performance expert, right? And what he was contracted to do with us at MSM is obviously the offer was about helping athletes with their mindset.
Right.
He helped with their mobility and nutrition and the physical aspect of it, right?
Got it.
Had a great relationship with Leo. Even though he was a contractor, I always had deep conversations with him, treated him the right way, asked him about his family, his kids. When we were in the same places together, I would acknowledge those things as well. And I invested into the relationship without knowing what could ever come from it. When I left MSM, the owner of the company that I was the COO of, Windy City Anesthesia, his name is Dan Borvin. He was a client of Leo Goldman. So Dan Borvin would go train with Leo every day. Older guy, much older guy. Leo would train him. And he was training him for years. And when Dan was basically like, I want to step away from the business. I'd like to hire a C-suite executive. Blah, blah, blah. I'm interviewing a bunch of guys. And Leo was like, I know I'm going to fucking sound crazy, but there's this kid who's 23 years old. And I promise you, if you just have a conversation with him, you'll know why I'm telling you to have a conversation with him. He told me that's exactly what he told him. He texted me that day. I was like, hey, I want to connect you with this guy, blah, blah, blah. And then he called me, and that's how I got that role. So that stemmed from a relationship. Being connected with Jason also stemmed from a relationship. And I'll start to tell that story.
Yeah.
So when I was going into wanting to start my consulting firm, a big part of it too was changing the people that I was surrounded by. I have a group of friends that like I grew up with, basically. Love them, will always love them, ride or dies, and my brothers. But I also wanted to surround myself with individuals that were either trying to accomplish what I was trying to accomplish or already have, right? No one else that I surrounded myself with was an entrepreneur or even talked about entrepreneurship. And more importantly, they weren't working in the online space either. I get a call one day from my buddy. His name is Troy Gonzalez. Like a brother to me. I fucking love that guy. So shout out to you, T-Roy. Calls me one day. He's like, yo, you're in Chicago, right? I met him at Funnel Hacking Live in 2022. I was there on behalf of MSM. Kid comes up to me one day and is like, what are you doing? I got my AirPods in. I'm working. I'm like, what do you mean? He was just this young, eager, energetic kid. And he was like, man, like, you just look like you're locked in. Like, I just wanted to learn more about you, blah, blah, blah. Ended up like doing a voice recording for a whole sales script that he used for his sales team. And he was able to scale his sales team like 20% after implementing that new script. And I always cultivated that relationship. Since Funnel Hacking Live, we never saw each other until actually 2 months ago. We decided to go stay in Fort Lauderdale together for a month. 2 months ago. This year. But before then, I hadn't seen him since 2022.
Wow.
Always called, always FaceTimed, always stayed in touch.
Yeah.
Supported his goals, made sure he was good. He calls me in the beginning of 2024 one day. He's like, yo, you're in Chicago. Like, do you know these guys? Like Ibrahim Ansari, Renzo Guevara, Eddie Cumberbatch, Cam Oliveira, Jordan Williams, DJ. It's DJ Will. They're always together. They're all entrepreneurs. They're all in the online space. They post stories, tagging each other, all restaurants. I'm like, I don't know any of them. But I knew that these are the people that I should be friends with. I remember that day I got off the FaceTime, followed all of them, and was showing who's now my partner, John Mahoney, their stories and content together. And I was like, I'm going to be at this dinner table in the next 3 months. I promise you that. Matter of fact, it's going to be my dinner table, not any of theirs. He's like, all right, buddy, cool. Like, what the fuck? But I was adamant about it. So I didn't just follow them, but I reached out to every single one of them. I dropped the ego. I didn't give a fuck. If they were live on Instagram, I jumped on that live. Yo, I'm in Chicago. Let me take you out to dinner. One of them was Garrett Campbell. Extremely successful individual, has his own high-ticket sales company and is also working on his own software product. I joined his live, said something on the live. He clicked my profile, saw that we had a mutual friend, which was a kid I went to high school with. Also ended up in e-commerce, and was like, oh, you know Arnold? Fuck it, let's grab dinner. Grabbed dinner with him, chopped it up. Great relationship. He hit me up that night, was like, yo, I'm grabbing dinner with Cam Oliveira tomorrow. Like, you should come. I want to introduce you to him. Like, you'd love him. You're cool as fuck. Cool. Go. Boom. Back to back, within 3 weeks, I met two of the guys that I was talking about I'd be at dinner with. And loved them, too. 3 days later, there's a dinner with all of them. I get invited. Show up to the dinner, same thing. I'm cool with everybody. Eddie, Cumberbatch, and Ibrahim don't show up. I told Renzo, who's Ibrahim's roommate, I want to meet him. Um, Went over to his crib, met him, took him out to dinner. Long story short, became cool with him. Ibrahim is like one of my closest friends now. Then he introduced me to Eddie, who is one of his best friends. Me, Eddie, and Ibrahim throughout that time period were kind of like a trio. We were always together, hanging out every night. Eddie had a penthouse at Old Town Chicago, so we'd always chill over there. One day, and Eddie had an offer teaching people how to do what I did through my consulting firm, which is what he called growth operating. So he'd create content around growth operating, which is basically like he coined the term growth operating and then broke influencer syndrome. He'd say like, I'll teach you how to cure broke influencer syndrome. This is how you can make 10K a month, the typical shit.
Yeah.
But he would talk about the structure of launching an online product with a subscription-based membership and generating a monthly recurring revenue. Jason had come across one of the videos and followed Eddie. So he's like, yo, Jason Derulo just followed me. And we're all like, oh, what the fuck? Like, thought it was a fake account, checked it. It's not fake. It didn't become a big deal until we realized he only follows 35 people, Jason. And obviously has, 70 million followers? So he decided to DM him and it was just like, yo, like, thanks for the follow, something along those lines. And then Jay was like, love what you're doing. Let's connect. And I kind of told you the story. At that point, like Eddie kind of passed it over to me because he was focused on scaling his own offer. And plus, like he knew that when it comes to handling a situation of this nature, in terms of having someone who's of extremely high status and still being able to manage that relationship and turn it into something, he knew that I was the best man for the job. I don't mean
more
to sound like
more equipped. You were equipped.
Right. Had like 7 missed meetings that needed to get rescheduled over the course of an entire month until finally he shows up to a Zoom meeting we had scheduled 30 minutes late in fucking Finland. And we had a great conversation, but on that meeting, I basically told him like, look, man, I don't think we're going to accomplish anything together or do anything together until I'm with you in person. You're in a different country every single day. Your time zone changes every other hour. And it's just clear that like, we're not going to be able to prioritize this unless I'm with you and we can actually just like take action. There's not much that I need from you, by the way. I handle a lot of it, but you got to be involved. You got to be able to respond and, be present.
Sure.
When's the next time you're in LA? He's like, I'll be in LA from June 20th to 27th. Long story short, I decided to book a one-way ticket to LA, but I also brought my business partner, John. The reason was because we were launching our product with our first successful client. First client since going all in. We were launching our product on June 20th. And it was a 5-day launch from June 20th to 25th. And I was supposed to meet Jason anywhere from the 20th to the 27th, but I had no idea when. Fuck it. 2 one-way tickets, 2 carry-on bags, packed for 5 days, lock ourselves in a hotel room, pull off this launch, see if Jason answers. If not, we're good. Launched on June 20th, did like $30,000 between June 20th and June 25th. Extremely successful launch. I'm thinking Jason's ghosting me at this point. Ends up hitting me up on June 27th. But I'll tell you the backstory. So by the 25th, I'm thinking Jason's ghosting me. He's not texting me back. I'm not about to start blowing him up either. I'm very careful about how many times I'm texting him and calling him. I haven't met him yet, so I don't want to like abuse his phone number. I'm like weary about it all. We're like, man, fuck it. Let's just go to San Francisco. It's an hour away. My sister lives there. At least we can visit her, We go visit my sister for a day. Jason still hasn't responded. My partner, John's like, man, I'm just going to go home. Cool. Yeah, that's what makes the most sense. So he flies home that day. And I'm sitting there like, man, what the fuck? I could either just go home like he did, or I can take another shot. And I remember sending like a much more aggressive text message to Jason because I had seen him launch another project within that time period of me being there. And it wasn't an online space project. But anyways, I was like, listen, bro, I've been here for 7 days. I'm leaving tomorrow. I promise you there isn't another business that you could start with a higher profit margin percentage than this or a better recurring revenue model. Are we doing this or are we not? something along those lines.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm in San Francisco at this point.
Yeah.
Motherfucker texts me, be at my house at 7 p.m. I'm flying out tomorrow. Bro, I'm in San Francisco now. It's 8 a.m. Boom, boom, boom. I pack everything up in my bag. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Call Southwest, Chase, yo, I need a flight, this, that, and the other. Book it to the airport. Finally land. I get there at like 6:40 p.m. Hop in a rental car, zip it over to Jay's crib. Get to his house. His assistant takes me up to his studio, and he's like, Jason will be here soon. The compound is insane. 3 massive mansions, Rolls Royce, Bentley, brand new Escalade, everything you could imagine. Studio was immaculate. I'm in that bitch. I'm in Jason's house. Like, you're nervous. You don't really want to overstep, touch anything, go anywhere, do anything. And as soon as I walked in, I noticed a camera in the top left corner. So I'm on note. Like, I'm not gonna fuck anything up, say anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're being watched the whole
I'm
time.
sitting there waiting. 20 minutes pass by. I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let me just pull out my laptop and start doing some work. Pull out my laptop. An hour passes by. 2 hours pass by. I get like my work done, and I'm like, damn, where the fuck is he? You know? I didn't want to blow him up. I'll tell you why. Most people won't believe that like I had this thought in my head before. One, I was scared to like abuse his phone number, okay? But 2, I didn't want him to show up with limited time because I knew that he was leaving the country the next day. So I wanted him to show up naturally where I knew I'd have enough time to actually execute on something with him. And I made a decision that I'm not going to hit him up, but I'm also not leaving this fucking room or this fucking chair. Fuck that. I flew here. I've been here for 7 days. I'm running out of clothes. I'm wearing the same boxers for the past 2 days. Like, I'm not leaving this fucking chair, right? So I just keep working. Midnight rolls around. I walk out the studio. I creep out the crib. I'm like, yo, is anyone here? Ghost. Like, man, this is fucked. I can't really go anywhere. I'm scared to go to the bathroom. Like, I don't want it to seem like I'm snooping around this crib.
Right. Did any of the people that were on his team like live in the house at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one said shit. The problem is the studio house is like the house where we send people. Even I do this now. Someone shows up. I'm here for Jason. Okay, cool. I'll take him to the studio house. Motherfucker will be waiting for 3 hours.
So it's detached from the main house?
He has 3 mansions on one big compound.
Got it.
It's gated, and he owns the entire thing.
What part of LA is this?
Then Tarzana. So I'm in the studio, bro. At this point, it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to just keep working. I ended up falling asleep. Okay? All of a sudden, I'm asleep in the chair. Obviously, like, fell asleep without realizing it. And then, boom. Wake up sporadically. The door opens. Jason walks into the studio. I'm like, oh, shit. He's like, oh, shit. You're still here? I'm like, bro, my bad. I fell asleep in the chair. Like, I was just waiting here. I didn't want to go anywhere. He was like, damn, motherfucker, I forgot you were even coming. How are you still here? I was like, I'm not going anywhere. You know how long I've been waiting for you to walk in? And now we're doing like the Spider-Man shit. I probably look crazy. Wearing the same outfit from when I took the flight the morning before. Haven't eaten a single thing. Drank water out the bathroom sink. Tweaking. But he saw something in the fact that I didn't leave. And he acknowledged it. He was like, this motherfucker, 1, didn't hit me up at all. And 2, basically said, I'm staying in this bitch until someone either drags me out or Jason walks through these doors. Right? We had an amazing conversation. And there's a lot of details in this portion of the story that are super funny because it, like, the decision was changed 3 times within the hour. But long story short, that day, I ended up hopping on the flight with him to Dubai. And all I had was my carry-on bag packed for 5 days.
How did that part go? You just like didn't have enough time to talk to him, or he liked you that much where he's like, come, you're coming with us? Okay,
I'll tell you. I always feel like it takes me too long to tell the story, but fuck it. So he walks into the studio, right? You're still here, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, cool. You know what? I'll meet with you. Just give me an hour. You can stay here. Make yourself at home, blah, blah, blah. Okay, bet. Perfect. What do? I go downstairs, do the little sink shower. Fucking starving. I'm tweaking balls. Do the same thing. I go in the studio, open up my laptop, and just start working. Hour passes by, 2 hours pass by. Jay's not here yet. But I'm seeing the sprinters pull up to the compound. People are packing suitcases. Like, he's about to leave. And I know he's leaving at like 11:30 a.m. You know what I mean? What ended up happening was I texted him and I was like, look, bro, I know this is going to sound crazy. I have no idea where you're going, but just bring me with you. I want to find the exact text message. Right?
Go for it.
I don't have my phone. But long story
We're going to
short,
get the
I was
text
like,
message and we're going to put it on a pop-up on a
Cool.
video or something.
So I texted him and was like, wherever you're going, bring me with you. Like, you won't regret it, this, that, and the other. And he's like, sounds good, but you'll have to help out with some other things. I said, I'm game. Still haven't seen him since the morning for like 5 minutes. He's like, I'll be right back. And I have no idea where he's going. He could have been going to San Francisco for all I know, or how long he's gone for, none of that. Manny, the guy that I met the night before, gets to the house with his suitcase. He's obviously traveling with Jay. He goes, bro, I heard you fell asleep in the studio. He starts laughing his ass off. Then Jason's brother comes in, Joey, that's his artist aide, his stylist. He starts laughing about it. We're cracking jokes. I'm like, yeah, Jay said I'm traveling with you guys. They're like, no way, cool. Like, awesome, man. It's nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. Like, we look forward to it. They're like, did you meet Harry, Henry, Chuck, this guy, that guy? I'm like, bro, I haven't met anyone. I just met Jay, like, this morning. They give me a weird face, like, oh, okay, cool. So then they're packing up the suitcases in the Sprinter, and I'm like, do you guys need help packing up the suitcases? He's like, yeah, sure. I go outside, start helping packing up the suitcases. All of a sudden, Jason's manager, it's also his cousin, and his name is Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, his two managers, Harry and Henry, who are twins, and his cousins, and his brother Joey, they all used to sleep in the same bed together growing up. Very tight-knit circle. He put his entire family on, you know? Henry walked down, big-ass motherfucker, wearing a wife beater, walking down from the guest house. And I'm sitting here by the Sprinter, and Manny's next to me. Henry runs the show, but I don't really know this yet. So Manny goes, yo, what's up, Henry? How you feeling, dog? He's like, good. He looks at me. He's like, who's this? I'm like, hey, Henry, it's nice to meet you. My name is Kal. Pleasure to connect. Who the fuck are you? I'm like, oh, shit. My name's Kal. Jason said I'm coming with you guys. Coming with us? You got your fucking ticket? I was like, oh, I don't even know where we're going. He's like, well, how the fuck you coming with us if you don't even have a ticket? I don't even know who you are. What's your name? I'm like, Kal, bro. Like, Jason just said that I was coming. Like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, man, get your bag out the fucking Sprinter, man. I'm going to call Jay. Get my bag out the Sprinter. Now I'm like this, bro. And mind you, I still haven't fucking eaten anything, wearing the same outfit from the day before. I'm like in terrible shape, you know? Was like this, and then I came all the way back down again. I pulled my Sprinter out, my bag out the Sprinter. I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Sweating balls, 100 degrees outside. He opens up the Sprinter door. He's like, are you the crypto guy? I'm like, crypto guy? What the fuck? No, tell him Kal. Tell him the guy that he just met this morning. He's like, oh, no, Jay, this not the crypto guy. Closes the door, opens the door back up. He's like, you're not coming with us, man. Jay's going to come talk to you soon. I'm like, all right. Door closes. They drive off. I'm literally sitting there, bro, on his, like, driveway with my carry-on bag for, like, 15 minutes. I don't even know what to do at this point. I'm shook. I'm just sitting there sweating in my fucking button-up shirt and my slacks and Burberry shoes and just sweating balls like, what the fuck just happened? Then I see Jay in the top house, his main house, sitting on the balcony, and he waves me over. He's like, come over here. I go upstairs. We laugh about me falling asleep in the shit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. His dad's there. I met his dad earlier and helped him move a car, but I didn't know it was his dad. I just thought it was an old man, maybe working on the compound. He's like, this is a good guy, Jay. I met him earlier. Whatever. We start chopping it up, small talk. He's not saying shit about how Henry just said, I'm not going anywhere, this, that, and the other. He's like, I'm about to go on a hike with my dad. You want to come? Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, sure. I'll come. I'm wearing a button-up cashmere
Go on a hike.
shirt.
You're about to pass out.
About to pass out, Burberry shoes, slacks on a fucking hike. I'm like, yeah, I'll come on a hike. He has a hiking trail around his compound. So we go, the first step of the trail is like 500 staircase up into the fucking mountains. He takes the first step. He turns around. He looks at me. He's like, you sure you want to come, bro? Look at your outfit, blah, blah, blah. I looked at him and I said, Jay, I don't give a fuck where you're going. I'm coming. He just laughs. He's like, all right, cool. Come on. We go on this trail, bro. Stairs. I'm sweating balls, bro. My clothes are ruined. My shoes are fucked. And he's not saying anything about anything. Small talk. Finally, towards the end of the hike, like right when we're getting back into the house, I'm like, yo, so Henry said that I'm not coming with you. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jay. I don't give a fuck about traveling with you. But I just want to take action. I've done nothing but waste my time in trying to accomplish this project with you over the past month and a half. All I want to do is just take action, whether it's by me traveling with you or me not traveling with you. All I care about is executing on launching this product and doing it the way that we want to. And we start having an in-depth conversation, and a lot of it was about business and how I would launch the product, strategy, etc. Started asking me about my background, what I've done in business up until this point. He didn't know anything about me, bro, at all.
I believe it, yeah.
So through this like 1 hour conversation, he starts even asking me about some of the other projects he had going on. What would I do with this? What would I do with this? Pulls up this website. How would you optimize this, etc. By the end of it, he goes, you know, it's not too late for you to come to Dubai. And I was like, Dubai? That's where you're going? And he's like, you didn't even know? I was like, no. He's like, okay, can you come? You got your passport? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you packed your bags and everything? I look in my carry-on bag. I look at him. I'm like, yep. He just laughs. He was like, this motherfucker. Bro, I didn't know that they were going to 22 different countries on a full run before coming back to the U.S. and we're going to be gone for 8 months. But I definitely didn't look back. I got in an Uber to the airport. All those guys in the Sprinter were waiting for me at the check-in desk. I got there. I'm like, hey, what's up, fellas? They're like, give me your fucking passport. It was a competitive environment because it's a very tight-knit team. They're all family. Jason never meets someone randomly and then brings them on the road with them, you know? So they were like, who the fuck is this guy? And why the fuck did Jay just bring him with us, you know? And I had to prove myself and put myself in situations forcefully and speak up and provide value in ways that I concepted on a day-to-day basis. So even though the project that we actually wanted to launch together failed, or we just didn't launch it basically, I was able to provide enough value over the course of that 4 months that we were exploring the project to where I landed in a position where I get to handle a lot of his business affairs, kind of like as a business manager. So
what month did the initial interaction happen in?
The initial interaction was on June 27th.
So almost a year ago.
Yeah. Almost a year ago today.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a million, like for the sake, we could have a 3-hour podcast just on the Jason Derulo story alone. For the sake of time, I won't get into every side question, but I guess like where we'll leave it, because I have a couple more questions before we wrap, is like, what's the status of that right now? Is that like an ongoing thing? Where's that left at?
Yeah, so I have a phenomenal relationship with Jason. He's like a best friend, an older brother, and mentor all at the same time. You know, one thing I will say about Jay, and I want to kind of give some kudos to him for this, is that he was the first A-list celebrity that I actually had a relationship with. Not just knew them, but I had a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And his ethos went against everything that I expected from a celebrity because of the stereotypes that are attached to it. Jay doesn't do a single drug. Nothing that you can... No drug of any nature. Will barely take an Advil. Drinks from time to time, but more importantly, works harder than anyone I've ever seen in my entire life. To this day, he makes fucking like 5 songs a week. He has thousands of songs that have never been released. He's traveling around the entire world constantly, focusing on performing, creating music, and being an entrepreneur all at the same time. And there's something around being around somebody who's making more money than everybody, who's more successful than everybody, but is also working harder than everybody. Working harder than everybody. That should never be the fucking case. So when I was around him, there was no chance I was going to let him work harder than me. If Jay's going to the gym on 2 hours of sleep, you best believe I'm right behind his ass. And I was adamant about trying to keep up with him. And it taught me a lot about being a good father, irrelevant of how successful you are. Staying on top of your mental health and your physical health, irrelevant of how busy you think you are. And never making excuses in terms of working hard and doing what needs to be done.
Love it.
The relationship is in great stands. I still handle his business affairs to this day. And he's also a client at our new company, Creator Exchange, which is
Love it.
great too.
Perfect segue. Let's hop into that really quick. Like, what are the need to knows about Creator Exchange? It seems like an exciting time for what you are building now, and I want you to get a little promo time here. Tell us, give us the elevator pitch on Creator Exchange and like how people, if they want to, could interact with that company.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, Creator Exchange is the first ever tech company that I've launched. And I'm partnered with John, who is my partner at the consultant firm, as well as an individual by the name of John Collins. My partner, John Collins, actually staged a $210 million exit from his company, ChargeGuard,
Wow,
in quarter 1 of this year.
unreal.
So extremely successful exit on his behalf, and he had majority equity percentage, obviously. So super cool to be able to partner up with him on this project. But we're building out a tech platform and a software. As of right now, our platform and software is still in development. So we are basically offering our service as an agency, for lack of better terms, and we facilitate a lot of the service manually. But when our platform is ready, everyone will be able to access it. I honestly don't care to do a promo or try to get anyone who's listening to this episode to try to find or join Creator Exchange or whatever the case may be. But I do want to tell you what it is, what I'm building, because I'm fucking stoked about it. And I think it's going to change the entire world. I will sell this company for $1 billion. Mark my words. I'll find this part of this episode and I'll bring it back when that
Clip
happens.
it. We'll clip it.
Listen, so let me explain to you what Creator Exchange is. You know how with Uber, for example, multi-billion-dollar company, extremely successful. What did they do? They activated a network of existing vehicles and they made something that almost all people have, something that they could use to make money, right? Uber didn't launch their own car. The cars, they all already existed. All they did was they built the middleman, the infrastructure between the car and the person, and a way for them to make money.
Yeah.
So if you're a man who owns a car, you can become an Uber driver and make money, right? Same thing with Airbnb. Airbnb never bought properties. They created an infrastructure between the properties and the people who stay at them. So if you're a man who owns a house or a property, you can put it on Airbnb and you can make money, right?
Yep.
Both of these companies activated a network of a commodity that has existed for longer than we can ever remember. And they created a way for individuals to monetize what they already own. We're doing the same thing, except with social media. So you know how TV commercials, for example, that's an advertising space in and of itself. And there's been a strong decline over the years because of streaming, social media advertising, etc. But TV commercials still exist, right? A brand that wants to run a commercial pays a TV channel to run the commercial on their channel based off of the amount of viewers that channel gets, correct? Right. Super Bowl commercials are extremely expensive because they know how many people are watching the Super Bowl. So they're paying for the channel's eyeballs, correct? Yeah. Well, isn't it the same thing with your social media account? You know, because of your analytics, how many people visit your account every single day. You know how many impressions you get, how many views you get, and what your reach is. Why can't you rent that out? Why can't you let Coca-Cola post a commercial on your social media and pay you for the amount of views that you're generating? The same way they pay a TV channel to launch a commercial. What Creator Exchange is going to allow people to do is basically, from a user standpoint, people will be able to connect their social media accounts to our platform, Creator Exchange. The software will then basically detect all of the demographics and analytics of the profile, how many views they're generating, what the percentage split in their demographics are. For you, it's probably 75% Chicago, the rest spread across the US, maybe 1% outside of the US, right? And then once we have your channel, your account connected to our software, brands like Nike, Reebok, Adidas, the biggest artists in the entire world, like Drake, Central C, The Kid Laroi, The Weeknd, they will be able to launch a campaign deciding where they want their advertisement or content or creative to be shown what audio they want to be used. So let's say, for example, you were hosting an event in Chicago, okay? And you wanted to say, I want to spend $5,000 to get this video of my like promo for the event in Chicago across as many people in Chicago's Instagrams as possible. The people who own the software, the accounts, they're getting paid based off of the amount of views that generate. So if you launch a campaign and it triggers to post the content on their account, which happens all with AI, they get paid based off of the amount of views that post gets. If it gets 5,000 views, they might make $5. If it gets 1,000,000 views, they'll make 1,000. You know, but you're advertising organically and paying 1/25 of the cost that it would cost you to run an ad for your event. And you're choosing who you want to see it based off of the demographics and analytics of the accounts that are connected to our software.
Right.
So you can choose, I want to spend $5,000. I want it 100% to be people in Chicago. I want all male accounts, and I want them to use this audio. You upload the creative yourself, actually. Then boom, like this, it'll get distributed across thousands of people's accounts in Chicago. You'll scroll through Instagram and you won't be able to get rid of your ad because it's all flooding the people in the downtown Chicago. Artists will be able to launch a campaign where a video is posted on hundreds of thousands of people's accounts across the world playing their music. Brands will be able to launch a commercial, same thing, across hundreds of thousands of people's accounts. So we're creating a new advertising marketplace that's no longer in the hands of Meta or Google.
Interesting.
Why did Facebook ads become a thing? Is because they had a network of individuals on their platform. They have eyeballs.
Yep.
So then people paid Facebook for those eyeballs. Why don't we take that power out of the platform's hands and pay you for the eyeballs on your page? I want your friends to see the event, the ad for the event that I'm hosting this weekend, and I'll pay you $1 for every 1,000 views you generate. Why the fuck would you not do it?
Right. Interesting. I like it a lot. It sounds like a no-brainer when you explain it the way you do. Do you know if there's a lot of market competition for something like this?
Clipping right now has become extremely, it's blowing up right now. Clipping agencies, people that do like the Andrew Tate shit. I'll take your podcast, Lorenzo, I'll clip it up, and I'll get it posted across hundreds of thousands of accounts.
Right.
So that exists. UGC campaigns exist. AI influencers now exist as well. Like I could get 100 AI influencers built to promote your product in the next 30 days.
Yep.
Nothing exists like what I just mentioned.
I love it.
Nothing at all. Nothing even close to it. I actually, like, we've been trying to keep this under the wraps as much as possible until we have a good portion of it built out so that no one, tries to.
What does the runway look like for you guys right now?
4 to 6 weeks.
Amazing.
For our MVP, which is like the initial version of our product that won't have the full functionality that I just mentioned, but it will by the end of this year.
Amazing.
So by the end of this year, if you have an Instagram account with even just 1,000 followers, and I don't care if you get 500 views a video, you can make money by connecting your account, your TikTok, your Instagram, your YouTube to our software and letting brands, artists, creators post their content on your page.
Amazing.
All happens automatically, and we also limit the amount of posts that can go out on one person's account. This is not something that will become a career for a lot of individuals, but it is a way to make, probably $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
Depending on how big your audience size is and your reach and your influence.
I love it.
How many eyeballs you got?
Yeah, it's very accessible. I like it a lot. Well, Kal, you've given us a lot to think about here. Your story is very unique, and the way you articulate yourself and kind of the vision that you have set out, I know, and I'll be kind of with you every step of the way. I know it's going to come to fruition, so I'm excited for you and everything that you've talked about. We're going to have to do a part 2 in the future because we got to come back to a lot of these clips that we have. But I want to leave the audience with one final thing. We kind of always wrap up with this question. But if you were able to give your younger self one piece of advice or tell younger Kal one thing, what would that be, and how old would that age be?
I would tell Kal at 13 years old that no one will ever want for you what you want for yourself. and that's okay. If the things that you want are unrealistic to the majority and even the people that you care about most in your entire life, it means that it's big enough for you to create a real impact in the world. Don't give a fuck about what anyone else thinks. Don't give a fuck about the permission or the approval from the people you care about or even the people that you think care about you. Do what you know is best for you. Don't account for any advice or feedback from people that haven't accomplished what you're trying to accomplish or are in the act of accomplishing it as they speak to you.
Yeah.
If I were to sum it all up, again, I would say no one will ever want for you what you want for yourself. Don't give a fuck about what anyone else thinks. And understand that you can have blood that ain't family and family that ain't blood. So everyone has an opportunity to choose their circle and to choose a circle that projects them closer towards the goals that they're trying to accomplish. If you make the right decision, it'll amplify you. If you make the wrong one, it'll just take away from what you're trying to accomplish.
Amazing. Powerful message. Kal Maadi, thank you so much for being on Link Live. Episode 10, that's a wrap.
Beautiful.
That was awesome.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you so much. That was good.